Rawr, rawr. Stream. Activate. There's lip syncing the headlight closed. Wow. Why do you say that? Anyways, I just want to do basic stream every time. I'm gonna be like, gonna be a quick stream, and then 3 hours later, was this a quick stream? No. This I did want to just get this over, just skim over things. The VR chat format is usually the best way to just skim over a bunch of tabs on my browser. So, just off the bat, I saw this in a quote tweet. So I go to the quote tweet. It's Augusto Kinoche saying Ethan Van Sciver admits that Vito Comedy is a pedophile, but is still okay promoting him, and wants to know why Kiwi Farmers are not attacking Eric July instead of Vito. Not a great look for Comicsgate. Ethan Van Sciver. Ethan will most likely block him. I wouldn't be surprised if Vito does too. Ethan and Vito both have me blocked, of course. Here's the screen cap. Let's look at the screen cap. There's going to be some more funny replies too that we'll get to. Here, the whimsical trolley, and I do have the thread open, so we'll probably end up seeing this in a minute. But, can you explain why you and other CGers are going after a black guy who's delivering his product, but okay to align yourself with pedos and a revenge pornographer who groomed a teenager in high school? Now, here's the funny thing: is that the pedo in question doesn't even necessarily mean Vito, because anyone keeping up with D&V investigations, more like investigations. But anyone who is keeping up with that will remember when they actually exposed. That doesn't sound good. But Vic King, a guy who's been around in Comicsgate for years and years, had in fact already, before Comicsgate started, had been arrested and imprisoned for sex with minors and getting them drunk also. I mean, you can go watch their video, but it was only a couple weeks ago. Comicsgate had quite an implosion about it, as usual. Anytime anything comes out about Comicsgate, anytime anyone notices anything, not just anything bad, but just anything about Comicsgate implodes. Because as has been proven many times in the past, every single thing about Comicsgate is disingenuous, fake, dishonest, the exact opposite of what they pretend to be. Comicsgate is every bit the leftist SJWs they pretended to be against the whole time. The evidence for that has been just one tidal wave after another for years and years. It's been just a thing we have casually observed on our channel. That's really what the YouTube channel is about, and has always been about, is just us sitting around noticing things. That's all it is. That's all it's ever been. Interestingly enough, waiting for other people to finally start to notice too. And after many years of being in our shadow, being in the dark, being clueless, Kiwi Farms finally starting to notice about Ethan. But there's a little more to that too. We'll get into that. But here, the pornographer who groomed a teenager in high school, a revenge pornographer specifically, is referring to Ethan Ralph, although interestingly enough, it could also partially refer to people like that Umbrella Guy and so on. But anyways, here's Ethan saying, seems like it's just me going after Ripperfreeze. Well, wait, that's not a very good impersonation. Hold it. There, you know what? Nailed it. But he says, because it sucks and Eric can't take criticism, care to explain why this page isn't going after this page? He talks like he's 70. What the fuck? On Dime Books? Who are the pedos aside from Vito and the... He knows it. See, that's the thing. He was constantly promoting Vic King. He was friends with and promoting Slick Jimmy, who was one of the other pedophiles in Comicsgate. Here's the real question. How many other pedophiles are in Comicsgate who simply haven't been caught yet? either arrested yet or had been arrested, and their criminal record is not made public. Um, who can say? Here's Dark Grift Comics, actual name, Dark Grift, saying now there's another dog groper in Comicsgate. Here was the first 31 days of dog. Let's get back to making wonderful CG art. And then one of the war campaign guys posting about Captain Chokeout, which does sound kind of gay, posting, let's see, caught making homosexual advances, posing for homoerotic pictures with his dog. Now that's sort of something else. And I was gonna not even glance at that, but when I go to the Augusto Pinochet post, he links to Kiwi Farms. The top thing on this is about Katie Did. Now, I don't know who Katie Did is, never heard of her before, but some new chick in Comicsgate. And apparently, they very effortlessly dug up a history of bestiality, dog fucking accusations. Anyway, I don't know. I would say go ahead and look this up yourself. But I did want to at least acknowledge this is the top post when I click on this thread. I think it's potentially interesting, but one thing is that I think the guy who made the post also did this video, Molting Katie Did on Ein and Prime Investigations. Streamed live 22 hours ago. So if you want to go check that out for yourself, go ahead. It's over an hour long. I think it's an hour and a half-ish. I was planning to listen to it myself. I didn't get around to it yet. There's a bunch of stuff I got to do tomorrow, so I don't think I'll even get a chance. But here's just the stuff they looked up. I don't know what is this about? What? Facebook had interesting thing. Child ran. What? She promoted ISOM. Oh no. Oh no, MLP stuff. What's that? That's the worst of all. Her Twitter she nuked overnight after me and Arkenzen's Icon brand did our live stream on her. It's gone lamau, but not without an archive. What? I knew she would delete it. Retweets Doggo Hubby. Insert Rusty Cage song Pega Sister. Oh no, My Little Pony. Retweets hentai fan art. Blah blah. So again, whatever. I don't know if anything here is even relevant or interesting necessarily, because I just skimmed this. But I noticed here what they're saying. There you go, Kiwis. KT did a bestiality bastion allegedly for the geek getaway. I thought the fandom rejects had problems. Oh no. How did you retards manage to do your comeback stream opposite Medicare? I almost wish I had watched that though, because I listened to the Medicare stream. It was simply there. I was like, oh, is he going to talk about Ricada this time? No. I thought the stuff about H Bomber guy was interesting, but I could have watched that at any time later. It wasn't really that worthwhile. Here's though, it's some kind of pug. I'm not sure if this pug is smug necessarily, but whoa, there's a gun to its head. Is that a CZ75? Anyways, here, reset my password. I'm back, Kiwis, and then fucking, of course, he can't just post. He has to be like, look at this drawing, look at this gay frog, and it looks like people were not exactly celebrating him coming back. But here, Whimsical Trolley says the amount of time you wasted resetting a password because you rage quit the farms could have gone to finishing your book. That's the one thing, by the way. If you really want to troll Ethan, just tell him to finish his book. It will prevent him, though. Very unfortunate. It'll prevent him from continuing to finish his book because it will just delay him more, and it will age him even sooner than usual. He says, I never rage quit. That's how you know Ethan did rage quit. I lost my password. He didn't. During the multiple resets of the site. Yeah, did you? It's one of my favorite spots on the internet. Oh, it was one of his favorite spots, but he didn't come back for a couple of years, apparently. Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks like people not really buying it. I mean, maybe that's just my interpretation of these these things are oh, you can't see the cursor. If I click on, does confetti? Oh, no, it doesn't. Boo, the site sucks. No confetti. Bring back the confetti. Can you explain why you and other CGers are going after a black guy? We read this part. But I do like this reply, again, from a pug. Just a pug, apparently. Some kind of pug. I guess I can't technically read this, too much of this post, but I do like Ethan saying, care to explain why this page isn't going after him on Time Books, and just why isn't this page going after him? We're not your personal army friend. I do think it's funny that Ethan apparently has forgotten the oldest rule of 4chan. Why did Ethan forget that? How come he forgot that? Well, has he never been there before? It's funny because even other like lame like big two creators have been caught going to 4chan trying to promote themselves and stuff. Ethan hasn't even been there all summer. I'm not saying that you should even go to 4chan. It's been subverted for a very long time, for many, many years now. But if you're going to act like you're, cool and hip with the kids, like you're from 4chan, it might help to actually have gone there once before, ideally. But here, this reply also, care to explain why this page isn't going after him? Because his books aren't taking as long as a presidential term to finish, and his products have been on time. If Eric July makes himself look like an idiot, then we will criticize him. I don't know about that, because Ethan has made himself look like an idiot many times, and they wouldn't criticize him for years and years. Not until this, basically. It's kind of goofy that it took this long, but still at the same time, we said all it's going to take is noticing. That's it. Once people, we said this about Ricado, we said this about Ethan Van Sciver, and so on and so on. As soon as people start noticing, it will be years after we do. So if you want to actually know what Kiwi Farms is going to notice years and years in advance, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. It says, Ralph is the revenge pornographer who jerked off to a picture of a minor and threatened to kill his wife on camera. That last part, maybe not as bad, at least. But here's also some other stuff that's been going on. This is 2 minutes. I guess I'll play it because Ethan made this stream private. So a good way to archive it is to actually play this. Not that I even want to listen to obviously fake gay voice. Ethan can't even dye his beard. There was that whole era where Ethan was so embarrassed of us making fun of how gray, traumatically shock white his beard was, and the jokes about drinking from the wrong grail and stuff that we invented many, many years ago. He started dyeing his beard after being embarrassed by that, and then went back to just not bothering to dye his beard after we made fun of how obvious it was that he was dyeing his beard.
Anyway, but you've got a thing with Ethan Ralph. Is Ethan Ralph the nobody that you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, come on. What is it? 300 people watch him? Like he's on Rumble somewhere?
Yeah. Well, he's on Flash or Trashcast right now. Here's 1,900 people are watching Ethan.
Notice Ethan Van Sciver is like revealing that like he's hosting a show. Like, well, he's acting like he's Jerry Springer, but he's, of course, it's like if Jerry Springer was so pathetically homosexual that he had to put on a fake voice like this to make people think he's straight. If you can't tell that somebody who talks like that is gay, by the way, you yourself probably are also gay. Again, it's a matter of noticing. How many people have not even noticed yet? And some people I have noticed that some people have started to notice. That's pretty cool. But for anyone who doesn't know, Gabe Hoffman is some multimillionaire hedge fund guy who also, for some reason, has gotten involved with some of this internet drama stuff for the past few years. He doesn't like Ethan Ralph. For some reason, Ethan Van Sciver thinks that Ethan Ralph is kind of a ticket to legitimacy, to not being mocked in public, which again is kind of an old story, but we'll just play some more.
And Ralph suddenly Hey, how you doing, Ralph?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Mr. Ben Sciver?
This is Gabe Hoffman. This guy's
I
a
know
critic
who
of
it is.
yours, I
Yeah, I
guess.
know. You were talking about how great his movie is. Well, a couple of the subjects involved with the movie didn't think it was so great. I don't know if you saw
You know what?
that.
This clip is actually on illicit clip, so if really you wanted to listen to this for yourself, it's just Ethan Ralph trying to pull a gotcha on Gabe Hoffman, and then for the most of the rest of it, Gabe Hoffman is like, why are you trying to ambush me? I thought we were going to have a serious conversation or some shit, and just the comment at the end of this is Tard War. A pug again saying literally. Maybe we'll get into that in a minute too, but literally going after a guy exposing Hollywood pedos to defend a monster. That was another thing that Gabe Hoffman did, is he produced a movie that was supposed to be about exposing Hollywood pedos. But it's funny, literally going after a guy exposing Hollywood pedos to defend a monster. I'm detecting a pattern here, Frog. Is there some noticing going on? I think I'm noticing some noticing. Recording of EVS's friend Ethan Ralph abusing his wife Amanda Morris, and then some other links. This is the kind of person Ethan Van Sciver likes to hang around nowadays when he's not working for sex traffickers like Andrew Tate. I mean, again, that's just scratching the surface. If you really dug into Ethan's friends and the people Ethan liked to hang around, you'd see it would get a lot worse than even like Andrew Tate is almost like schlock clown sex trafficker compared to some of the people that Ethan spent years promoting. And I don't just mean Vic King and stuff, although certainly can include that. Here again, the honeymoon. The reason why I really want to show this, the honeymoon has been long over now. They couldn't be more tired. He thought he was going to come back to this site to some kind of blowjob, even though it's usually Ethan who gives the blowjobs, of course. But here is an owl is replying to Ethan saying, "It sucks no worse than Cyberfrog does. It sucks no worse than every single book that Comicsgate has produced. The difference at this point is that he's doing your old game better and more profitably than you can do it." This is every word of this is basically something we have been saying about Ethan Van Sciver for years. I don't mean to brag too much or rub that in, but I'm going to anyways. The on top of that, the fact that that is the only reason Ethan at any point in any way dislikes Eric July, is that Eric July simply posted bigger numbers of the thing that Ethan Van Sciver believes should belong to him and about money that he believes should belong to him. He also says, because the people going after him are among the most repulsive lol cows on the internet. You have allied yourself with Dax's crew of lol cows, Ethan Ralph, and lol cow of the year, Nick Rekieta. If people on Kiwi Farms really knew, the lol cow of the year for like the past several years, bigger than Keffels. Keffels just went after Kiwi Farms. That was the thing. But when it comes to lol cows, Ethan Van Sciver's very bizarre, hilarious public meltdowns, which also would have been far bigger if Kiwi Farms even paid attention. Ethan was, 2019 alone. Nick Rekieta was massive lol cow in 2019 as well, too. That was very easily noticed, again, for anyone who actually notices stuff. So again, if you want to notice stuff, come to where the Kiwi Farms backwash eventually ends up. It's the other way around. Our backwash eventually ends up on Kiwi Farms. That's what I meant. Ignore the part where I said the opposite of that. Just block it out of your memory. People try to start a thread about him, but it's not happening as long as he's fighting with cucked losers like yourself. That's the thing. I remember people tried to start threads about Ethan Van Sciver, and they got deleted because the mods wanted to take his side. The Jannies on Kiwi Farms wanted to protect Ethan Van Sciver for a long time. Lost out in qualifying to a 16-year-old girl. Oh, this is other stuff about Camelot. So again, just getting to continuation. There's not going to be a whole lot left. But Daka, which by the way isn't PPP. PPP used his YouTube channel for a while. I think for a couple of years actually, as sort of a favor when his original channel got shut down. But Daka, guy mutual. I follow him. He follows me. And he says, Eric July, a very good point here also. Eric July is just a scapegoat for these people. Ethan scammed $500,000 for his comic, and Vito is actually a non-ironic chomo with access to kids. I made sure to add, some insight to this, pointing out anything they want to say Eric has done wrong. Ethan's done at least twice, and 10 things Eric has never done before. EVS has personally deplatformed more conservative indie comics creators than any dyed-in-the-wool SJW could ever take credit for. And here's a screen cap that, we've gone over a million times. We've shown that on a bunch of streams, videos, posted it. As usual, the noticing never sinks in until years after us. Years from our backwash and that kind of stuff. Here's somebody saying, I like this guy, he's just like me. And then this classic post, I replied saying, Rethan perpetually acts like he's never been on the internet before in his entire life. Again, the idea of the personal army, that is something that goes back, 10 years. Maybe it's too old. Ethan wasn't on the internet yet. Hasn't been even on the internet all summer long. Here's another tweet. I think this was like an hour later or something. I can look. Okay, 3 hours later, and this is 4, so it's about the same time then. But spot the difference. One is a natty lol cow, full natty, that dresses in drag on stream consistently, gets angry at criticism. The other is a forced lol cow who isn't interesting. Just forced lol cow, by the way, worst kind of lol cow. And I like Manlet Thorin mentions he will never be able to repeat the success of the Wrecked Planet campaign, which is kind of interesting and ironic because, as we had pointed out a long time ago before, in fact, it's funny that these DMs are from 2020, so that's how about 4 years ago. 4 years? I did the math there. Wow. I thought it was interesting that John Delarose personally told me that Ethan Van Sciver donates to his own campaigns hundreds of times. What did he mean by that? And of course, that's just, this old thing. Which JDA, I mean, he used to just go out and say this. It wasn't like a secret. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't have to be. Here's another reply, though, I think is funny. Take jabs at EJ's campaign for going lower than the previous one. His own finale is doing less than half his previous one. It's like poetry. And Manlet Thorne says the dyed beard arc was creepy as hell, which again, if you want to see the deep dive, the beard dye deep dive, that's way back. That's from, was that last year, I think, on our channel, as usual. He actually thought it looked good. And it's funny because the thumbnail has no beard, or it's faded beard dye, I think. And then in the stream itself, it's so blatantly like he just dyed it a few minutes before the stream. That's how insecure Ethan Van Sciver is just about the color of his facial hair. He could shave. He does wear makeup and he does pluck his eyebrows very meticulously, which I can't verify this. I think some other people might have to dig into this, but that might be homosexual behavior. The Just for Men soy sauce color beard dye. Warning, does not work if your hair is traumatically gray, will show roots after a few days. They're all going to laugh at you. Why would they promote? Why would Just for Men promote their own product that way? I don't know. But here also another reply. Decided to add another reply mentioning, if people want to support good indie comics by honest creators, they should go here instead. And oh, look, here's this campaign not as big, of course, which goes to show the real audience for actual comic supporters, the real indie comic supporters and enjoyers, not the people who are brainwashed by YouTube hucksters. The real audience is always going to be smaller. The people who want to be brainwashed will always be a bigger audience, but it's going to be an audience of essentially fake people. That's old news, though. That's something Frank Miller talked about. And you know what? Frank Miller, he agrees with us about that. Do you agree with Frank Miller? If not, I don't know. Are you really that smart? Do you know what you're talking about? Probably not. But still, at the same time, met the funding goal and still growing up nicely. And the cover here by Tim Lim of Common America, this looks pretty good. Literally 3. And is another thing that's very interesting and important and worth pointing out is that it's for the 3rd book. How many Comicsgate comics have even gotten out a 3rd book? I think it was sort of a rule mentioned or established by, or at least said by the Rags guys, that if you haven't gotten a 3rd book out, then what do you really do? Are you actually doing anything at all? Are you just you're selling your YouTube channel essentially, and you're not really that interested in making comics, theoretically, anyways? Because it can be hard to get the book out there, but this is just we're getting the 3rd book. We're working on the 3rd book for literally. We've had 2 other books out there, Villains of the Snow Sea 1 and 2, and then the Princess High Ground comic as well. That's another. And again, that one was not new, but that was new to book form. That's available now in print. So it is a book really that's put out by all of our friends, the general community, going back before the whole YouTube thing. Going back many years. Yeah, that was one of the funny things about Princess High Ground is that goes back to like 2014, 2015. Shit, that may have started in 2013. I think it was really 2014 specifically. But again, that's going back 10 years. And to getting that into a book, that was pretty easy actually. I do think Jerk could have done that, but he didn't have to. I was able to do that for him. But anyways, 55 days left in the Literally 3 campaign. It did get the funding goal, but it is important that the goal is just, that was the minimum goal. Each $100 basically is what it's going to take to pay for a page. So it's going to really need, another few $100 at least, minimum, to really make sure that the rest of the book can get paid for. To be honest, it's really going to need at least another $1,000. So again, if anyone out there really wants to support the honest creators, go check out this one. Check out, the stuff by Iconic. They're not currently running a campaign. They're currently shipping one though. But if you want to support, in a way, one of the guys from Iconic, he's not going to get. Oh look, it just went up. Wow, this was clearly worth it. But see, that's the thing, is that it's a good way to support the actual indies who aren't streaming all the time. Can you imagine going on stream as like dressing up in some stupid costume on stream and just obsessing about drama? I mean, if you're an artist and you're doing that, especially every day, doing it every once in a while, I understand. But especially if it's for something that nobody else is going to talk about or cover, or certainly won't do it honestly. So that's the thing, is that we have a bunch of subscribers who are subscribed to us because we're the only people who really do videos about this. You're not really going to see anyone else ever talk about it. Ever. Is there someone in the chat? There are people in the chat. Hello. Gabe Hoffman, sponsor of the Kino Casino. Oh, yeah, that's right. He donates to them. Weaponizing Gabe Hoffman against himself was a bold move by... Yeah, that's funny. This is me looking at my chat. Unironically, the chat's on the back of my wrist here. But yeah, getting Gabe... Like, trying to walk Gabe Hoffman into an ambush. And it's like, is that a smart idea? Hey, Gabe Hoffman, by the way, if you want to support actual good, honest indie creators, you should check out that Literally comic. That's a good one. No one's ever been able to adequately explain to me why Eric July is interesting. Yeah, he isn't really. And here's the thing, is that I don't like Eric July. Before the comic came out, I was like, this guy made a lot of money for making a comic when he's never made a comic before. It stinks of psyop. But aside from that, it's like there's nothing else to say until the comic comes out. The comic comes out, it sucks. And then once the comic sucks, there's nothing really to say about that. It's like it's a psyop with a bad comic. You know, that's basically what Comicsgate already was. So it's like, okay, just another rebranding. That's what Iron Age was. It was just another rebranding of the previously failed movement. This movement failed. Here's the next rebranding. That might fail. Here's the next one. And everyone wants to have their own version instead of glomming onto, some kind of collective. Everyone wants to own the movement. Ethan basically wanted to own Comicsgate. And when Eric July came along and said, I made all of this money, which, by the way, isn't verified. Even other people in Comicsgate were like, how do you verify this money? And the fact is he can't, but it also doesn't matter because that's the game. It's the entire game is if I made an Indiegogo right now and it, in the first hour got $10 million and I said, I made the biggest selling indie comic of all time, would you actually believe that? And the thing is that ultimately some people, it's more about the circumstances, though. If you have a popular YouTube channel ahead of time, people will make themselves believe it regardless. So as far as the whole Eric July thing, it's not really relevant or interesting. If his comics really keep sucking that much, eventually people will just stop talking about them, stop reading them, stop buying them. And if it's fake, he may, keep pretending that the sales are going up. But that's, whatever you don't like about that. If it's completely fake, it's a complete sham. Ethan Van Sciver is still 10 times worse in every single way, so it doesn't matter. JDA goes to where that's another thing that's interesting is JDA JDA supposedly walked away from Ethan now. Oh no. See, that's the other thing is that the whole movement, the entire indie comic scene, with a few exceptions. A few of those exceptions are Iconic Comics and King Wolf Comics. Almost the entire rest of indie comics is full of complete frauds who are obsessed with internet trauma and obsessed with jumping back over the line, back and forth of who gets to be whose friend with who and why, and whose drama is involved with whose other drama, and who did this and who got caught doing that, and who's going to help cover up for when Ethan fucks up again. And because that's the funny thing is, for a long time, even people on Kiwi Farms were trying to sort of sweep it up for that whole snowman thing. And now even them are coming out and saying, oh, that comic is years late. Back number 6 on this campaign, the best number. That's great. JD goes to where he thinks the money is. Yeah, in a year or two, JD will be back to calling Ethan his friend. Well, possibly. And Ethan knows that his numbers aren't looking as impressive by the time the campaign ends. Before Cyberfrog 3 comes out, he will most likely get that campaign to $1 million, and very likely it will be through an element of donating to himself, which you can do on Indiegogo. There's the story of Indiegogo being able to pad your numbers is very old news, and everybody knows about it. And if anyone has had any involvement with Comicsgate, any slight interest in Comicsgate, and they haven't told you about it, that means they knew and they were covering it up. You should really hold those people accountable. Not my problem. Just like pouring cooking oil down the drain, just like turning up the microwave too high on this thing, not my problem. One thing EVS is not fighting for is better comics. I mean, better comics means stronger competition against himself. So of course Ethan does not want anyone in Comicsgate who can actually make a better comic or outproduce him. That's why Doug TenNapel had to go. That's why Tim and Mark had to go. That's why, of course, we would never be allowed in. But then again, we were always we were the Comicsgate before Comicsgate existed, and the people in Comicsgate never had the integrity or principle to actually make it in comic liberty. So really, that's the That's the criteria that when people talk about the idea of anti-Comicsgate, there's never been any such thing as anti-Comicsgate. There's been comic liberty and then anti-comic liberty, which anti-comic liberty is the SJWs and Comicsgate, who usually share the exact same principles and the exact same political views, interestingly enough, like Ethan was a never-Trumper. How many people know that or will admit to that? But that was proven too. And even the same practices as the SJWs. In many, many times, people in Comicsgate have constantly, publicly, openly bragged about false flagging and deplatforming and that kind of stuff. Ethan's done it. Everyone who has supported Ethan has been complicit in his behavior. Because, I mean, if you weren't, you would call him out for it. Show me the people in Comicsgate who actually said, hey, Ethan's wrong to do this. Who did that? It's been years. It's been many years. They've had lots of chances, and they never did because ultimately they don't care. Just like Nick Rekieta would say.
I don't care.
Nick Rekieta, by the way, would also say
because of people like you.
Listen to the raw masculinity in Nick Rekieta's voice there.
Because of people like you.
Same for Ethan, by the way, when he says,
you come in here with balls.
Yeah, that's definitely a true alpha Chad with a loving family. Sort of like Trinity in, was it season 4? Yeah, that was season 4 of Dexter. That's really, if you ever dug into Ethan, you'd find that his family life is very blatantly just like that, too. Most comics are bad, even Marvel, DC are mostly bad. I mean, yeah, that's the thing, is that I like even comparing yourself to Marvel or DC, it's like, why are you even thinking about them? They shouldn't even be a thought, a concept. You read Marvel, DC, you care about what Marvel and DC puts out after 2010? Who gives a shit? It's fucking Gamergate 2.0, 3.0, Comicsgate 8.0, fucking who gives a shit? Who gives it? To quote the wonderful Casey Kasem when he was referring to you too, who gives a shit? Ethan's painted himself in the corner. He has to keep up with the drama. Well, that's what he always was, though. For a while, for a good number of years, he could coast along pretending that he was making comics. But that pretense, he can just drop that now because he's getting a lot more followers, a lot more viewers. He's had a spike in some viewers, but he's had a drop in subscribers. It's almost like some of those viewers may be purchased. I don't know. That's just speculation. I mean, you can't actually do that, can you? You can't just purchase engagement on YouTube, can you? No, come on. It's impossible. It would never happen. It just wouldn't happen. Or in fact, you could even say,
it never happened.
You could also say,
it don't matter. None of this matters.
Carl, now that's a great, nobody in comics has ever come up with a character as great as just Carl from Aqua Teen. I aspire to be like him. You know, that's also good. He gets so many super chats and views on that. Yeah, of course he has to. That's his validation. That's the validation in his life. Ethan Bain, so yeah. Does he even have time for his comic anymore? I mean, when was he if he had time for his comic, he would have more than 2 books out. The other books he's put out were just reprints of his old comics, and he acts like, that's an accomplishment to take a bunch of old comics and print them again. Do you think Ethan is a secret serial killer? Yes. Just fucking, I'm not going to soft shoe this. Yes. Where's the, is there a yes? Here's the closest thing I have to yes on the soundboard. And you know what?
What a shame.
That's not good. I guess that's not too good. I'm looking at my fucking, my hand. Is a knockoff TMNT any good? No. Now, that one I can answer with the sound. I can answer it with the soundboard.
No.
There. Eric July is a big mess, just like you. Well, I mean, not just like EVS. EVS will always be a way, 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 way bigger mess. Eric July is a product. That's what he is. He's essentially a figurehead. He's a face that a company purchased to put on there. Even Interestingly enough, Alex Stein accidentally admitted that. I thought that was quite interesting and funny. But again, certainly not much of a comparison to Ethan Van Sciver. Ethan Van Sciver is just a failed Big Two. He was a C-lister at best at the Big Two. Marvel used to make fun of it. The people at Marvel used to make fun of him on his own books about how incompetent he was and how late he was. You can see the fucking the like sly little notes and mentions and shit. I haven't read it, but I know AVS as an okay creator at DC. I think that's certainly high praise. You know, I think that's at least fair to say he's an okay creator. He's also considered one of the most ruinous shitty artists. Ruin Van Sciver, you could even call. You know what I'm saying? I know people though who used to read DC Comics who are like, oh, I'm a big fan of the Flash, but when he took over on art for the Flash, I just stopped reading it because it was just so bad. And I think that's sad, but at the same time, it's like I don't even know if that's true. I've seen some threads of art on CO that have just bizarre anatomy. I've seen some of the art that he would do for promo, like the initial one for Rainbow the Brute, when it was just called Rainbow Brute. At first, he had some promo art on his Indiegogo for years. And it wasn't until after we had done several videos pointing out that just completely fucked incompetent anatomy that he had, where the legs are like bent forward at the knee and shit, just the knee bending backward and shit. And like the sword he's holding is like at two different, the blade is at a different angle from the hilt and that kind of shit, which I consider that I understand that's hard to get right in a lot of situations, but the leg just bending forward was all kinds of fucked up. And after we did videos about that, making fun of him for that on our Subscribestar, interestingly enough, he changed it, which basically proves, again, we've had many other things prove that Ethan has been watching all of our videos, including our Subscribestar ones, because he'll do stuff that reacts to our Subscribestar videos after they go up. Very, very interesting. One could even say weird, but Alex Stein, just corrupt businessman. Well, I understand Alex Stein to be like a comedian and goofball or whatever, but he also is just a product. He is a corporate product that works for the corporation, and that his job was essentially to shill. And that was one of the really bizarre things about the debate or discussion that he was supposed to moderate with Ethan and Eric July, is that Eric July suspected that his own coworker was going to ambush him. That's the thing about Eric July is completely fucking delusional. He's out to fucking lunch, where he thought Alex Stein was going to set him up. So again, just not really smart. But again, that's been very noticeable with Eric July. Most people aren't capable of noticing that. Most people will just see popular YouTuber. They'll see that somebody has earned a silver play button and just assume that they have to be smart. They say, you have to be smart to have gotten a silver play button on YouTube. They're monetized on YouTube. That's it's the way that people delude themselves. The normie pig cattle inherently delude themselves because ultimately they want to. People would rather believe than know. It's the old nature of the normie pig cattle. It's just how things are. And once again, not my problem. Oh, there isn't a soundboard thing for not my problem. Well, that also, not my problem. Took me 2 months to map out egotistical and hyper-manipulative of EVS when he catered to my culture war with Teddy Spaghetti. Good old Teddy Spaghetti. Even Teddy Spaghetti, somewhat quickly called him out. But that was after Ethan, fucked him over, where he sort of, they were, the story of that, which most people don't know any of the true story of that, is that Teddy Spaghetti, Vox Day, for anyone who doesn't know, and Ethan Van Sciver had teamed up. They had already been teamed up. And they were both collectively going to trademark Comicsgate so that they could use it as their brand. And then Ethan was like, "Hey everyone, we're gonna, Vox Day's working on helping us trademark Comicsgate," and people in Comicsgate were still believing that bullshit about how there's no leaders in Comicsgate, even though they were willingly handing the leadership role to Ethan. And even Ethan has come out and admitted it many times, including just last week. If you watch the old, not the old DNV, but the new one, you can see that in action, proven once again. But people were like, "Oh no, you can't trademark Comicsgate." So Ethan was suddenly like, "Oh, I can't believe Vox Day is trying to trademark." Just like threw him under the bus. That's the true story about that. A lot of people will not ever admit to that being how it happened, but it's it was all out there, and the fact of Ethan being completely on board at first until he saw people being against it was again just right out there in the open. People ultimately didn't want to see what was happening. They would rather believe the story than look at the evidence. So again, just one after the other. For so long always makes me mad at humanity for being this dumb. It's sad. Perhaps even pathetic. Eric July is just the best when he is angry. That's the only time Eric July isn't boring, is when he's getting mad at people just criticizing him, which he realized was a bad look and stopped doing. The monetize your haters was literally just people criticizing, just completely mild criticisms of him. And any of the people asking is like, what is about Eric July that's supposed to be so bad? You missed out on that whole era. But again, that's old news. You can tell his Glenn Beck handlers have had a talking with him because he's just boring. Yeah, that is also what happened. And that's what happened with the Alex Stein stuff. That's what happened most likely with the monetize your hater stuff. Is they're like, you're making yourself look stupid. Just stop doing this. And he had to act like it was his idea, of course, because Eric July doesn't want to make it look like he's being led around by the nose by a company that he openly would pretend he didn't work for until they were like, "Hey, our employee Eric July is doing really great with his comic," and they would promote it, and he would use that as a benefit to himself, that kind of thing. Labor Day 2018, the Comicsgate Reichstag fire, where everyone had to make Ethan leader to save CG from Vox Day. Yeah, that is also what happened. And the thing is, I don't like Vox Day. I've never been a fan of Teddy Spaghetti. I was looking at I might have two hands now. But I did think it was clearly Ethan being duplicitous and dishonest. Even if you hate Vox Day, there's no way around that. And that was just the first example. Then after that was Tim and Mark, Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini, which, by the way, if you want to check out, I minimized the window. You know what? I should bring this back up, shouldn't I? Yeah, here we go. If you want to support something that has Tim Lim's delightful art, nice cover here. Literally 3 available. Why did I minimize it? I don't know. You know what? Maybe I will never know. But more importantly, Tim and Orc, kind of the first ones to really be thrown out. And the funny thing is, they were thrown out after a successful book, and then right before another successful book, and then before launching a huge. That's when I was talking about the real readership for indie comics. You can really see that in the Common America numbers. That's what the actual supporters of actual indie comics looks like. That's what the numbers really look like. The fake numbers, the fudged numbers, the cooked books and stuff that are people donating to YouTube channels. That's Comicsgate. And even most of the supposed giant sneer quotes creators in Comicsgate, you can see their numbers aren't that big yet either. It's all about crowding around the most top YouTubers, the biggest e-celebs they can. So the people supporting them, and again, the people supporting them are donating over and over again, over the course of multiple years. When you go on the comment section, and this is something we've been pointing out for years as well, since 2019, you go to the comment section for any of their campaigns, especially Ethan's. Go to the Wrecked Planet campaign, go to the Rainbow the Brute campaign, go to the Snowman campaign. You'll see people, a lot of people bitching at Ethan, but you'll also, most of the people bitching at Ethan have already tried asking for refunds months and months ago, realized they would never get them. But when you go and see their comments asking for refunds, they'll see, please refund backer number 382 and 1098, that kind of stuff. And it's like, one person asking for multiple backers isn't that interesting. It goes to show you can't do that on Kickstarter, by the way. You can only do that on Indiegogo. We've gone over this. We've gone over the numbers proving that basically Indiegogo lets you fake the numbers way easier. That right there proves it, of course. Anyone wants to do any digging into that, you'll see the exact same thing proven. And we've done tons of videos on our delightful Subscribe Star, linked below. Where we've done a huge series of videos that's over 40 parts. I think it's specifically 40 parts at least, of us going through just the comment sections of Comicsgate's campaigns and looking through all the people asking for refunds, demanding refunds, Ethan replying to some of them, refusing them refunds, and then after that, giving other people refunds. So he's selectively refunding customers. And it wasn't over a tone or anything. It wasn't because people were getting pissed off at him demanding refunds. It was somebody saying, why aren't you responding to me? You know, why aren't you? They're not even saying, you fucking, they're just saying, why aren't you responding to me? Please give me a refund. And Ethan would say, sorry, refunds are closed. Then somebody else says, oh, hello, Ethan, can you please give me a refund? And he'd be like, sorry, no. And then somebody else, like a woman name, would say, please refund this. And then Ethan would say, oh, okay. So it's Ethan apparently also giving favorable treatment to women, to Wambian, if you will, even. So, kind of leftist behavior right there, too. And, you know, is anyone going to dig into that? Are we the only people who even bother to notice? So far, yeah, apparently. Aside from D&V, Vicky and Dean, or DA, or whatever. I do very much highlight, if you want to see like a lot of the receipts and really better organized videos, by all means, check out their videos. But also, if you want to support actual good indie comics, well, look at this. Look at this over here. Would you look at this? Is it up? Oh yeah, it's still up. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Oh no, that's the microwave. No, this up here. Yeah, okay. Whoa, no, that's the that way. All right. I'm just getting it backwards every time. Okay. Anyways, that wrapped it up a half hour ago. 58 minutes. That's okay. So once again, thanks again. A lot of interesting comments in the chat, though, for sure. Because people in the chat have been noticing. We've had a bunch of people who have been watching our videos for a long time, for years now, and they've been noticing. They've been seeing all this stuff. They're not just taking our word for it. They've seen it in action. They're not believing us. They have noticed it. That's why we get a bunch of... That's why Doug Tenaple, by the way, agrees with us. Not to really throw this out there so harshly, but you know how I like to do it. Doug Tenaple agrees with us about Ethan Van Sciver and Comicsgate more than he agrees with Dick Masterson. Doug Tenaple likes us more than Dick when it comes to the takes on Comicsgate, because he knows we're right and Dick isn't. That's not my opinion. Take it up with Doug. But the Jim Tuner mentioning even sad old Tug may have ditched Ethan. Yeah, out of all people, that's not even a good thing. If you're still associated with people like Yellow Umbrella, by the way, you're not getting away from like the worst in Comicsgate or indie comics. You're just surrounding yourself with the same fucking creepy, literal cuckolds, actual cuckolds and child abusers. Like, if I was Eric July, I would not want Yellow Flash to have anything to do with me. That's a very stupid move on Eric July's part to even have Yellow Flash openly supporting him, anything to do with him. It's just a trap, like, they're all setting for themselves at this point. Imminent justice years late. Come to the real light. Luciferian, as Owen Benjamin would say. There's a new Owen Benjamin video on Milker Nation. I was actually in the middle of watching it. And then I saw these tweets and it's like, I think I got to cover this just real quick. It's only been an hour. Okay, it's been an hour. So International Women's. This is a good International Women's Day from anti-SJW. Yeah, wait a sec. What's that all about? Although that was a while ago. The Ethan selectively giving refunds. That was last year. So it's old behavior. It's been out in the open. If you want to pay attention to the people who notice things, check us out. If you want the years late backwash, you can read Kiwi Farms. But they're in the dark. They're clueless for the most part. Some of them finally, after many, many years, starting to catch on to what we have basically been telling them. And they've been realizing that we're right all along, even if they're so far behind that they haven't been realizing it. But you know what I gotta say? Good job, Kiwi Farms. Hey, Kiwi Farms, good job. Good game, kid. Squid, if you will. Which is that even worse? Or is that better? Maybe that's better. Maybe that's nicer. But weekend stream 40 minutes behind. Oh, Robot Mechanic. Well, I was just about to end it. Again, I got a bunch of stuff to do tomorrow, so I didn't want to go too late. An hour stream is nice. Certainly better than like the other streams I do where they're 3 hours. I have no goal or direction with those anyways. I do actually want to say thank you, Kiwi Farms. Instead of just the condescending, good job, Kiwi Farms. I do want to say, hey, Kiwi Farms has a nice post. It is funny to see anyone make fun of Ethan, aside from us, as usual, again. How many times are we going to do that before that? Like with Eric July, is that it got tired pretty fast. It takes something new. That's the thing about the lol cows. The reality of lol cows that you can learn from us more than anyone else. Because, of course, we're the biggest experts in the history of the entire internet, possibly in the history of the entire human race, forever and ever for the next million years. But a lol cow has to do something fresh for them to still be funny. After a while, it's like the funny thing they did, it's like after a week, it's stale. The internet moves so fast, guys. Anyways, all right, just fucking goofing around. Thanks again for everyone showing up in the chat and hanging out.
You come in here with balls?
We're only able to do these streams and also sometimes to make comics specifically
Because of people like you!
And for everyone else, of course, should have listened to Shitty Webcomics. Wow.